It's still happy hour with John Gaskins. This round's on me.
Hey, you know what it's time for? It's time to dominate. It's time to dominate with the Dominator. He was number 24, three-time All-American, three-time Summit League Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, his freshman year. He's the 9th all-time leading scorer in NCAA history, the Summit League scoring leader for a career, and plenty of fond memories for Jackrabbit fans. He's Mike Daum after spending, 7 years overseas, 2 years in Spain, 2 years in Italy, 1 year in Istanbul, Turkey, 1 year in Serbia, this past season in Nagano, Japan. He is back in the States after his 7th season of pro basketball just wrapped up, and he's talking to us from Happy Valley, Oregon, to go down memory lane and to catch us up on his life and times. So good to see you. How you doing, man? You're complaining about your bedhead, so let's get that out of the way. But you got an excuse. You got an 11-month-old kid.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I'm not surprised you're awake because you're always awake when you have an 11-month-old kid.
But man, it's good to see you guys. Wow, thank you for that introduction. That's like a trip down memory lane for myself as well. But I'm happy to be here. Glad we could find a time for me to get on the show. And yeah, I'm also adjusting my lifestyle into being a dad as well.
Yeah, you are living the dad life. How much sleep are you getting with an 11-month-old?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think my son is a rare exception. He can just run fully on about 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So Our sleep for my wife and I has been very, very minimal since he was born. So we're gonna be catching up, I think, on a lifetime of sleep.
Right. The 1 year birthday is coming up. Now, is there going to be a big party for this? Is this an excuse for the adult?
We have. My wife is coordinating it all. We have a fun basketball theme for it, so it's gonna be a big event for him and both of our families.
Both of your families, okay? Because I coincidentally, Dan Patrick was talking about going to a 1-year-old birthday party for a grandchild of his, and he said it was just an excuse for the adults to party.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. And how did we end up in suburban Portland, Oregon? It has to do with your wife and her family, so that goes back to how you met your wife.
Yep. Yeah, so my wife and her family is all from this area, and it just made the most sense once we found out we were having a kid to kind of reside in this area for now. We'll see in the future though when I retire if this is where we end up full time. Might end up someplace maybe a little sunnier like Las Vegas, but we'll see.
Okay. Now you've explained to me before we started rolling, like you plan on going back to Japan. So you plan on playing at least one more year in the pros. And you said maybe when you retire, we'll see where you end up living in the States. But you must be still liking getting paid to play basketball overseas, or else you don't keep doing it. So, I mean, how's that all going for you?
Yeah. Really, basketball is the best. I definitely love playing it still. I enjoy just being around the game, and one of the coolest things now is being able to just travel the world and see and experience so much while playing this game that I love. But it's been amazing. I can't complain at all. Being able to play basketball for a living is really a blessing. And yeah, Japan, I think right now it's tough between Italy and Japan, but Japan, I think, edges a little bit in front of being probably the most loved country I've played in. It's an absolutely amazing country, culture, everything there.
I have heard that. I have read that. It looks beautiful, but I'd love you to get into that. I mean, we could spend the whole hour just talking about these countries you've lived in. Because they're places I at least want to travel someday in my life. I mean, my actual dream job is to be a travel show host, just to get paid to travel to some of these places you've lived. But why Japan? Why is Japan at the top? I mean, again, let's review again. Spain, in the part of northwest Spain, which is near the coast and near Portugal. 2 years in Italy, in Tortona, described as one of the most beautiful villages in Italy. Think about
Yep.
that statement. And you're nodding your head. You agree. You lived in, by the way, in Spain, you lived in wine country there, like the Napa Valley of Spain. Istanbul, Turkey, which is an underrated, amazing city. Belgrade, Serbia, and that country's very underrated in its beauty. But yet, Nagano, Japan, your favorite. And beauty, the land, the culture. Why?
Yeah, so Japan has always kind of been one of those countries that me and my agent have talked about. I eventually always wanted to play in Japan just because I've
Because
had a
they're
couple
so
friends.
short, you can just dominate Japanese. Sorry.
They're
I
actually
I,
they are
I,
yes, the height is the difference, but I gotta tell you, those guys are so scrappy
yeah,
24/7. It's insane.
yeah,
It's insane.
yeah.
But yeah, I've had some friends play in Japan and they've had nothing but positive things to say about it. Um but what really, really surprised me and my wife was the culture is so deep rooted in respect.
Yes.
I mean, you go there and everything is clean, everything is spotless. You can walk into a public restroom barefooted and you know your feet are going to be clean. Um, it's just, there's, like you said, I mean, I could just go on for an hour about how amazing the people are, how well they treat foreigners, and just how the whole basketball scene there, the fans are so respectful when they see you on the court, outside in public. It's just one place that is unlike any other place I've experienced so far.
Yeah. Bill Murray recently went there just to watch Shohei Ohtani play in a game
Yeah,
there in Japan, like the first Major League Baseball game of the year. And he mentioned, and he's famous there like he is everywhere. And he shot a really good movie there, Lost in Translation, 20 years ago. And he just said what he liked about it is people, everything you said, the respect, the cleanliness, but the people themselves, he said, they can't be funny and weird, but they love people who are because they can't. Now, I wasn't even planning on tying Michael Orris this early into an interview, but we did talk to him a few months ago during the Summit League tournament. Of course, he's
yeah,
coaching at Augustana, former teammate of yours with the Jacks, hit the famous shot to beat USD in the SLT. And he said, you are one of the top 5 goofiest dudes in the history of the world. He has a knack for the embellishment,
yeah,
the
yeah.
grandiose. But you were quite the prankster as well. But anyway, he said you were, funny, goofy dude. So, do you get that Bill Murray type of treatment in Japan, being you?
Yes, absolutely. No, that has definitely carried over throughout the years, but especially yeah, in Japan too. I continue to do just some goofy things that I think my wife sometimes is like, "Are you ever gonna grow up?" Or you're a dad now. When is the time? And I'm like, I honestly I feel like I'm like 16 years old just forever. But yeah, no, and they do. The fans over there, they really do just feed and love the absolute goofiness and yeah, it's just it's incredible over there how they like treat you, see you, talk to you, and then start to copy the like funny things you do. So
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, people know that your backstory, and we'll get into it a little bit, but most people already know and have known for years. Your parents were standout athletes at the University of Wyoming. It's where they met, right? Mitch
yep,
was a tight end. He eventually played briefly for the Oilers. Your mom, Michelle, graduated as the all-time leading scorer and rebounder in Wyoming history. And Mitch was 6'5". How tall is Michelle?
yeah, my mom is 6'1".
And you're 6'9", so we know your height, your athleticism, your basketball skills come from
Yeah.
your parents. But where's the goofiness come from?
I would say it's a pretty good mixture of both. I mean, my mom's goofy in certain ways, my dad's goofy in certain ways, and I feel like I just got like a perfect 50-50 of both of their goofiness.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I mean, it's just like goofiness in random ways. Like my mom's kind of off the top of the spot, like she's goofy here. Then my dad will get into like the arcade and he kind of does these imitations and that kind of thing. So I feel like I got like a good mix of both.
Okay. And then before I forget, a couple of house cleaning measures before we kind of get into the life story sort of thing. But how did you meet your wife?
Yeah, I slid into her DMs on Instagram when I was in college.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
it was like a little quick backstory. It was like I think it was my junior season. Um, just slid into her DMs. I was like, "All right, you got to help me out." And it was just a very open-ended statement, and she responded like, "Help you out with what?" Like, and I was like, "Well, I got to figure out how to get you to South Dakota to take you on a date." And that just kind of opened the doors, and then we kind of stayed in touch. And then once I graduated college, I was like, "All right, like let's FaceTime." And then we FaceTime for 4 hours, and the rest was history.
Well, where was she living?
So she was when I graduated college, she played professional volleyball overseas, and she was in Germany at the time. And then when she got back to the States in the summertime, I was doing all the like pre-draft workout stuff for the NBA, and then that's when I just said, "Let's FaceTime," and we hit it off.
So how did you find her?
It was my Instagram Explorer page,
Okay,
just meant to be.
okay. Not- Nothing creepy about that. You just saw a girl you thought was kind of hot and was a volleyball player, and uh,
Yeah,
so how'd that go? I mean, you said
yeah.
she's like what? Obviously, it went fine. She's your wife now, but I mean, like, how did that? And that's an incredible story itself.
It
How you got
it
from
really
A to
is.
B.
Yeah, I mean, so when we FaceTime, the first time, by the end of it, I said, "Hey, like you should fly out. Like come hang out with me, like come meet my family." And I remember she told me the very first time she was like saying to her friends and family like, "Oh, this guy FaceTime me and he wants to fly me out to hang out with him." And all of her friends and family thought that I was going to be like a serial killer or something. So, but no, like, yeah, it was just like kind of one of those things where we got on the phone and the conversation just flowed really, really easy and everything clicked. And then, yeah, it worked out because she was playing volleyball overseas as well. So we were both over in Europe at the same time. So
Okay.
it was a little easier to be able to commute back and forth to see each other. And yeah, so now she stays with me now. I can't say she retired because she could still go back and play if she wanted to.
Okay.
But she's full-time mom right now, and it's been amazing to have her and my son overseas with me most of the time.
Where did she go to college and play?
So she went to the University of Oregon.
Okay.
She's
Excellent.
like big time, like big time volleyball. She was a stud athlete. So I'm hoping that our son gets all of her athleticism. And the only thing he needs from me is just the shooting touch.
That's right. What's her name? I got to Google this now.
Yeah, her name is Taylor August, Agost.
Agost. Okay. Well, I got Agostino. That comes up real quick. I don't want to waste our time here, but okay. Well done. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the Oregon. Yep, there's the Oregon jersey. Some Oregon volleyball shots there. And so where did you first physically see her after all this DMing?
So she came to meet me when I was down at my like parents' vacation house in South Padre Island, Texas. Is the
Okay.
very first time I saw her. And yeah, she came down for 4 or 5 days. We hung out, and she pretty much it's funny because she also got to meet like my mom and my dad right
That
away.
yeah, that's a little.
So
You don't
it
usually
was
meet mom and
just
dad that early.
Yes, it was just kind of right off the running block. She was just hit the ground running, and she just got to meet everyone and get the full like Dom experience.
But yeah, but and she leaned into it, not away
Yeah,
from
yeah.
it.
I mean, it didn't scare her away. I think
Yeah,
now she's starting to realize like, this guy's kind of crazy. I don't really know about it, but like, I'm too deep into it now.
yeah. But okay, but still, let's go backward. Like how much besides like Happy Valley now? How much have you guys ever lived together in these? Because you've known each other for like 7 years, right at the beginning of your pro career,
Yes.
right? And you've
Yep.
lived all over. She's lived overseas. Like, yeah. So how much time have you actually been able to spend
Yeah,
together?
so it's been very sporadic. Our first three years, we would see each other for like the 2 months in the summertime, and then it would be like 2 or 3 trips throughout the year where either she would come to where I was at or I would fly to where she was at. So the first 3 to 4 years, it was very like we were seeing each other 2 months plus a couple of weeks. throughout our relationship. So it was a lot of just like FaceTiming, playing I got her to play video games with me because I was on video games 24/7.
Shocker.
But I'm trying to think, the past like 2.5 seasons has really been like our time to like really live together. So she's been overseas with me for like 4 or 5 months, and then in the summer times here we have a place together now, so we have a little bit more time to spend with each other. But we've never spent one full year together in our entire relationship so far, which is insane.
Now, I would say well, I think most people would say that is kind of insane. I mean, I've done the long distance thing for like 4 years before, so
Yeah.
and I would say normally, wow, what dedication. But when you're both pro athletes, like, and when did she retire, or when did she stop?
So she stopped playing 3 years ago, I want to say.
Okay, and so she's just kind of joining you now, or
Yep.
yeah,
So she pretty much, yeah. So she loves the United States. She loves traveling overseas, but she definitely loves like being in the United States near her family the most. And
okay,
especially now with our son, it's the easiest for her to have help here in the States, because once she comes overseas, I'm gone, for practice 5-6 hours a day, and once we leave for games, she's really by herself. So yeah, she'll come over. I think this past season she came over with me for 5 months, which is the longest
wow.
that she's come over during a season with me, which was awesome. But yeah, most of the time she'll come over for a couple months,
Okay.
go back to the States a couple months, and kind of do that throughout the season.
All right, because I just would figure, you talk about the 5 or 6 hours a day training and working, and your seasons are several months long,
Yep.
I'm sure, just like they are here, and so it might be a good thing that not something you want to make a lifelong routine, but that
For sure.
you're in such a I say serious business, the serious business of basketball, but it's very high stakes, and
Yep.
so maybe that can make a long distance relationship work when you're that knee deep and grounded in
Yep.
what you do.
Yep.
So that's awesome that you have made it work. And I just I think about the whole scope of the fact that you're born and raised in Kimball, Nebraska, out on the Nebraska Panhandle, middle of nowhere, the highest point in Nebraska, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're very
Yeah.
proud of that
Yep.
panoramic point. Other than that, you're out there in the middle of nowhere on the plains, and then you end up going to school in Brookings, South Dakota, on the plains, the middle of nowhere. And Kimball, by the way, for those who don't know, population 2,000. So think Lennox. I don't know. Think something like that. You did have a Pizza Hut, Dairy Queen, and Subways. That's a lot for a town
Yeah.
that size.
Oh yeah. One stoplight and those 3 restaurants.
But from a guy with the first 22, 23 years of your life in Kimball and Brookings, it just has to be mind-blowing where you've been ever since.
Yeah. I think I've said this many times in interviews before, but I feel like it'll really hit me once I retire from basketball and I can kind of just take some time to reflect. But I sit here and I think about it and I'm kind of at a loss for words, because it really is a crazy journey that I've been on, coming from where I did. And I mean, man, the people that I've met along the way, the connections I've made along the way, it's been a blessing to do what I've been able to do. But yeah, it's definitely like a crazy story, and it's something I'll never forget about where I've come from to where I am now. Yeah, it's incredible.
And it sounds like you've embraced most of it. Everybody's story and journey is different, and every place you live is going to be different. I mean, another guy we'll bring up a little bit later in the memory lane basketball realm, Matt Mooney,
Yep.
From USD. I had a chance to talk with him about a year ago, and he's lived in some interesting places.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things he said about about the just being an international basketball player from the United States that are very challenging with language barriers, and it's kind of all over the map how well teams take care of you and all that stuff. But for you, so far, and I don't think you're blowing smoke here, it sounds like you've really just enjoyed the heck out of it.
I have. I feel like that's the one thing that I've kind of done a really good job, is just embracing everything. Coming out of college, I was pretty hard on myself for not making it to the NBA. That was kind of that thing stung for a little bit for the first couple of years for me. But after that, I really was just like I'm thankful to just be able to play this sport for a living. And I have to credit like my agent a lot because he's put me in really good situations overseas. I've been in amazing spots. I've been in places where for me it's been easy to adapt. And now I feel like, you can throw me anywhere and it's not going to be a problem. I'm not worried about the language. I'm not worried about living situation, things like that, because I've seen it all now. But yeah, I've just been able to embrace everything. I always say like I have a tattoo. It just says be present. And it just, for me, it helps me realize, just be where my feet stand right now and enjoy what I'm doing and embrace everything that's going on around me. And that's definitely helped me in my journey to just enjoy it all.
Well, I mean, you kind of had to do it right off the bat. I mean, correct me if I'm
Yep.
wrong. I think you had one season under your belt in Spain, your first stop when COVID hit. I think that's the last time I heard your voice.
Yeah.
I was still on the radio every day here in Sioux Falls, and all we did was talk about COVID. And okay, well, how can we just need to get different perspectives from the sports world? And so we dialed you up in Spain.
Yep.
And, for all of us, life has gotten a lot better since then. But you were shaking your head when I brought that up. I mean, what was life like in Spain during COVID as a 24-year-old newly minted pro basketball player over there?
Yeah, it was that was a crazy, crazy time. You go from playing in these amazing arenas, amazing fans, being able to go out restaurants, whatever, to they literally were so strict in Spain that if you were outside of maybe walking your dog, they would slap you with like a $2,500 fine.
Whew.
So it was like I was really isolated in my apartment for, at the start of the season, yeah, it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 months straight of just pure isolation. And it's like they were bringing groceries, they were bringing anything you needed, you would text them, but that's where it got difficult is they would always screw something up. I remember I remember I think I ended up losing almost 20 pounds during that time just because I wasn't getting enough. They weren't bringing enough food for me. And it was just the toughest thing ever because they were all constantly telling us, "Oh, season's going to start up again. Season's going to start up again." And we had a couple other Americans on the team who, the moment they said COVID, they flew home right away. But I kind of was like, well, I'm going to stick it out because I want to keep making money, and obviously, if I have a chance to play basketball, I want to play. But yeah, that was just it doesn't seem like a real time of life anymore. It doesn't seem like it actually happened, or it seems like so long ago now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
A lot of life has happened for everybody, including both
Yeah.
you and me. Forgive me. Did you get to at least get to go on jogs or go to the gym and shoot? Like you could do that, couldn't you?
No, it
Oh
was
my
we were
God.
not allowed. So I I
Oh, you were
literally
like in jail at home.
oh yeah, no, it was. And I remember they brought us a bike. I had a bike at home. I had some free weights, and then I would run my stairs of the apartment building every day. I literally remember it like it was yesterday. Did 100 rounds up. I think 4 flights of stairs. Up and down was one. And I remember just doing that every day. And that was the only way that I kind of stayed in shape throughout that entire process, which was insane.
That is insane. I could talk to you for a whole hour just about living overseas, the basketball overseas. How does it work? Illuminate us on, you obviously you find an agent, you don't get the NBA shot you wanted. Okay, I want to play and I want to play overseas. Well, first of all, I mean, was NBA G League an option? And if so, why did you still choose overseas over that?
Yeah, the G League was never really an option. And I was just pretty much based all solely on like my agent's guidance. He wasn't a big fan of the G League, didn't think that, a lot of like legit opportunities come from the G League. And I think it's gotten better now, but especially at the time when I was there or when I first came out, he just said that it wasn't well run enough for me to like he thought that I had a better chance of going overseas and then coming back. And I trusted him with all of that. So yeah, I mean, I get the agent and then he pretty much, goes and just talks to all these teams, see what teams need what, and then he gives me the options and then I kind of just get to pick and choose where I want to be and what I think is going to be best for continuing to also level up in my career.
Okay. And that was Spain to start. And that was 2 years. And then it was Italy. Like, how does that work? Where you go, okay, we're going from this country and in this league to this country in this league, what
Yeah.
goes into that?
Yeah, so my first opportunity in Spain was like a good one for me because I actually had one of my friends who was with the same agency just played at this team I was going to, so I was able to talk to him about his experience um, and things like that. So I knew that the ACB is what it's called, the league in Spain is the best like local like country league in all of Europe. Its basketball is very very high level. There's a ton of young guys that are coming out of there and going to the NBA and a ton of former NBA guys that are coming and going into playing the ACB as well. So it was a level that I knew that I was going to get to play against some top level competition. Um and pretty much from there, it's just you play well, your pay increases, and then kind of once I got this opportunity to go to Italy, it was just another. I'm not gonna lie, like the money is good, so it's like I'm also gonna follow where the money's at.
Sure.
And they were offering me a good contract, and that's kind of the reason to go from
Yeah.
Italy. Like Spain to Italy was not necessarily a basketball jump; it was more of like a business decision
Sure.
to go there.
Well, how much of it was a business decision to not do the G League and do overseas instead? I mean, how much more
Yeah,
money are we
that
talking
was
about?
also a very, very big
Yeah.
business decision at the time, especially the G League contracts were so low, and even
Yeah.
two-way contracts were super low
What
too.
were they?
So,
What was like a G League contract?
man, I think when I first came out, the minimums for G League contract was 20K, 30K is all. So it's like I was, I'm like,
That's like radio and TV money, dude.
yeah,
That's what I was making.
yeah, and
That's not good.
yeah, and it's tough because you also have to think, okay, maybe I get a 10-day contract here and that's another 20 30K on top of it, or maybe you get a call up or something, but it's rare, difficult, and I'm like I don't regret my decision to go overseas right away because it is once you get into a certain market, you really do you can get on a higher pay grade very fast.
Okay. And obviously, hey, it's paying the bills for 7 years. I don't want to be too
Yep.
nosy, but if you want to give us a ballpark, like what kind of money can you make just being obviously a very serviceable player in Spain, Italy, and
So I'll say once you get to so the local league I was playing in, it's kind of tricky to explain because everyone always thinks so like, oh, you're playing in Europe, you're just in the Euro League, but the Euro League is its own separate league. And where I was playing in Spain for 2 years, we played no Europe competition, so we only played other teams in Spain. My first year in Italy, same thing. We only played other teams in Italy, but then once you start to get into these like duo leagues where you played local league, but you also we played Champions League my first year in Italy. So you play other teams from Turkey, Spain,
okay.
Italy, these other teams around. So, and then once you hit the Euro League pay grade, I'll say that you're like pretty much going to be getting over like half a mil. So it's a big jump. And once you kind of get that, um, it's kind of the same thing in the NBA. Once you're in the NBA, you have that NBA stamp, and you can come over to Europe, and you're almost guaranteed like $1 million if you have the NBA stamp. And then when you get the EuroLeague stamp, you can kind of carry that into other leagues too, and you know that a team is going to pay you because they know what they're getting out of you as a player.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been very fortunate.
That'll keep you going. I mean, how old are you now?
Yeah, 30 years.
30.
I can't believe it. I still, like I said, I still feel like I'm 16. So
Yes. And how's your health been? I mean, physically, you still able to play? You're still competing and playing at a high
I'm
level?
still competing and playing. I'm not gonna lie, I have a bum knee that's slowly starting to decline a little bit. I'm starting to feel it in my day-to-day activities, sitting down, standing up, things like that. But I'm hoping to. I always told my wife, I said I want to play basketball until the wheels fall off. So that is kind of what I'm doing right now, and we'll see how many years I have left to push this knee to the limit.
Yeah. Well, like Brett Favre, his limbs almost splattering all over the ice rink at the Gophers Stadium.
Yeah.
concussed in his, like, that's how he was going to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've thought, like, what would you do? What will you do once you're not playing? You don't want to think about it.
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie. I've gone down so many, so many different avenues of, all right, I wanna start a business. I wanna get into coaching because I feel like I still have so many good connections there. But the only thing about coaching is I think it's more of a full-time job than actually playing basketball. So I don't necessarily know about that. So that's why I'm kind of like, I want to start a business because I want to see my son grow up. I want to be with him and my wife the whole time. But yeah, if you want me to be honest, I have some just random ideas, but I have never sat down and really thought about it. I'm just like basketball 24/7, and I get freaked out a little bit thinking about outside of what I'm going to do when it's done.
I mean, have you ever thought of open mic stand-up comedy?
Okay. Yes, I have. And I also have thought of traveling to Hollywood and possibly trying to, I don't know, I don't know if I could get into some comedy movies, but I feel like, maybe they might see me, 6'9", 6'10" as a horror character, and maybe I get in as like Slender Man in some movies and I can, maybe break my way into the film industry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna. I was writing this down as I started talking to you. Forgive me if this seems way like you have this Pete Davidson look and vibe. Has anyone ever told you that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
My wife and I'm trying to think there's been so many people that literally are like, yeah, he's Pete Davidson. He's got
He's a
the same
6'9".
same energy, something about it. Yes. Yes.
Well, that's good.
So funny.
You can try the Hollywood thing because you have a few nickels in your pocket. You can afford to live and not get a job for a while.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be as risky for you. So I'd love to see where that goes, but I'm happy you still want to play ball.
For sure.
So have you ever, by the way, have you ever tried an open mic night anywhere, anytime?
No, never have.
Okay.
Never have. I feel like it is funny though. I'm not gonna lie, but there's been like some random times where I'm like, all right, like if I was gonna just stand up and do some like stand up comedy or do something like, what would I open it with or how would I start? And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'd have to just start with the basic like, hey, yeah, I'm 6'9". The weather up here is just fine. It's the same as you guys down there. And then I don't know. I feel like I just would go into a bunch of stories about my dad on the farm and the funny things that I've experienced. And then I don't know. I feel like my best is when I kind of interact with people and then I can do things off the top of my head.
Okay, the Matt Rife thing.
Yeah. That's
the crowd play. Yeah, the disarming with your physical traits. That's a good old line. It's like I don't know if you ever remember or have heard of Louis Anderson. He was from Minnesota, but he was Google him sometime. He hosted Family Feud. He was a big stand-up in the 80s and 90s. Been in a bunch of movies. But he was really overweight, and so his first move, the first time he was on national TV, which kind of made his career on the Tonight Show, he took the mic stand in front of him and he said, the first thing he said was, "Oh, let me get this out of the way so you can all see me better." There you go.
That's great.
Great. I think you've got a good start, and that's where you can go from there. Now you're going to have to give me some royalties if that ever works for you.
Okay.
Yeah. But so you mentioned, but another part of your act would be your dad and growing up on the farm. So let's go back a little bit to that. So your parents end up in Kimball, and I think you've answered the question. So your dad had a family farm, and that's kind of where he, after his short NFL life was over, it was back to the farm in Kimball. So, man, what was that life like?
Yeah. To me, it was the best life growing up. I would rather have been born and raised kind of in the country in the boonies, versus being in the city and then moving out to the country. So, I mean, it was amazing. Obviously my hometown is so small, so everyone knew everyone. All of my friends were fantastic, and then I also had my cousins close, which are like some of my best friends. And we all grew up, working on our family farm, and that's where, I still today like Duck Dynasty. I wish we would have had some sort of reality TV show that followed us around, especially in the summertime during wheat harvest, because that's when tensions get high. My dad and my uncle, they start to get on 100% full alert, and it just turns into this big comedy show where people are saying things, and then you mix my grandpa in there, who's just your classic old time farmer, and he knows nothing but the farm and nothing but hard work. And now you got me and my cousins who are all sarcastic, and we start playing jokes and pranks. And I mean, it was incredible being able to grow up and have that experience, along with being able to play basketball and see so many things as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What kind of jokes and are you playing jokes and pranks on Grandpa or just
Yeah,
each other?
so I mean, there'd be many times, we'd have these CB comms during wheat harvest, and we'd all get on, and we'd have it on a certain channel where all of us would talk. And my grandpa, when he got this technology, it was just mind blowing to him. So he would be on it 24/7. Hey boys, how's the wheat looking today? This and that. And then, at some point he was on it so much, my cousin gets on and goes, "Hey grandpa, it costs 5 cents every second that you're on the CB." And then we didn't hear from him the rest of wheat harvest, because he's like, he saves money like anytime he can save money. So we don't hear from him the rest of wheat harvest, and we just, that was just like one very small thing. Or I'm trying to think, just things around the farm. We would kind of move, or we'd do this just to see if he'd notice, and he'd notice, and he'd come and say, "Hey boys, one of you guys move the tractor over there?" And I mean, grandpa, I don't know, you're losing it or something. So it
Yeah.
was a great time.
So there's weed harvest. What else? Did you guys have cows? Were you a ranch, or was it just
So
land?
we had a little bit we had some cattle when I was younger. But we started to get so much land for wheat and corn. Wheat's the big one, and then we have a little bit of corn. But yeah, wheat was like the main thing in the summertime. That was 3 weeks of, we would wake up at 7 a.m. and we'd work till 10 p.m. and we'd do that for 3 weeks straight. And it was just grinding, but it was some of the most fun times of just being with my cousins, with my dad, with my uncle. And it is just tough hours, long hours, but you're working all day, but you just kind of enjoy it because you're working with your family. And yeah, it was definitely special, an experience for sure.
I bet. So cousins, dad, uncle. Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have a younger sister. Yep,
Okay.
one younger sister, and
Okay.
we didn't really let the girls work on the farm, so my sister was always in town. But yeah, no, I have one younger sister.
Craziest farm misadventure. I mean, hopefully nobody. I mean, you hear about all kinds of awful farm accidents, but and injuries. But I don't know. You tell me.
I got one. It's funny because I told this story to my wife, I think the very first time we FaceTime. But so I'm driving a tractor. And I have a grain cart connected to me, and it's a big rig. And I'm driving it, and we're cutting with a combine through these swaths of fields, and I'm trying to think what our header was. It was a 55-foot header, something like that. I mean, it's long enough for me to make a U-turn within the middle of the field. But I make a U-turn in the middle of the field, and I cut it too sharp, and my back tire clips the grain cart like a trailer that it's on. Cuts off a chunk of rubber, breaks this huge metal like plate on the grain cart. And I didn't realize it, but I'm just sitting here driving it. I start bouncing, and I realize oh crap, I just did something wrong. So I get to the end of the field. My cousin gets on the CB and says, "Hey, I'm starting to smell some smoke. Make sure no one's on fire. I just found a huge chunk of rubber and a metal plate in the middle of the field." And I'm like, just white, sweating now, sitting in the cabin of the tractor. Next thing you know, I see my dad's truck come rolling over the hill like 100 miles an hour. And he whips in like a Formula One driver, pulls right up to the tractor. And these tractors are sitting 10 feet above the ground, so
Yeah.
it's high. My dad, like the most athletic thing I've ever seen. I swear, the dude jumped up 6 feet in the air onto the tractor, grabs the door, opens it, grabs me by my shirt, pulls me out of the tractor, and just holds me, and I'm like dangling. And I'm just sitting here dangling. And I can't use the language that he was using, but he is like, "What did you do?" what did you do? As I'm like as I'm hanging,
It's
crying,
Mingling.
and I'm like, yeah, hangling. I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And he just like gets me down to the ground, drops me, just goes, just go sit in the pickup truck. And I sat in the truck for like the next 5 hours for the rest of that day while he just ran the grain cart because I screwed up so bad. So
Oh,
that was the one story that I just was like, all right, that was crazy for me. No one got hurt, but yeah, it was definitely hurt my ego that day. But it was just the fact that he jumped up, grabbed me, and just legit had me
yeah.
just dangling from the tractor, just holding on to me with one hand. Unbelievable.
How old were you? This
Oh man, I was 14 years old, maybe.
okay.
So young.
I was going to ask. I assume you guys had a basketball hoop, if not like a full court, half court. What'd you have?
We had out at the farm.
Yeah.
We just had like a half court,
Okay.
cement slab, no lines, one hoop in front of our barn.
All right. But no doubt you spent a lot of time there. I'm sure a lot of your free time there.
Yeah.
And that's obvious. And again, your mom's a former basketball star. I'm sure your dad was as well. I was going to ask you if basketball's always come easy for you, but in the scope of chances are you had a lot of one-on-one with your mom and your dad. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure they made sure it was hard for you.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because actually out at the farm, one-on-one against my cousins was pretty much like a football match. And those dudes were some of the hardest games that I played, which I think helped me. And then, yeah, when my mom and I used to play one-on-one all the time. And I mean, it was very, very competitive. Me and her, she was like the ultimate competitor. And the very first time I beat her, I think I was 14 or 15 years old. And she was legit mad that I beat her in one-on-one. And then my dad, we played one-on-one all the time. And he was kind of the more just like chilled, laid back, like, oh, here and there. Like he'd win a couple games, I'd win some games. But he was big and strong. So it was also like fun to play against him. But yeah, I played so much one-on-one, and that helped me out so much.
So how much easier did that make it when you're just playing against guys your own age and own
Oh,
size?
yeah. It helped me out a ton. I would say my cousins, especially because they were so physical,
Okay.
that any other time I played one-on-one against anybody else, it felt a lot easier.
I bet. Okay. And so obviously you're ripping it up. When was the growth spurt?
Man, so I think I shot up from like 6 foot to 6'5" from like my sophomore to junior year of high school.
Okay.
Then from junior to senior year, I got to like 6'8", and then I actually ended up growing a couple more inches in college.
But we'll go back to high school. I mean, at what age are you starting to play AAU ball for a team in Fort Collins, Colorado?
Yeah.
Which sounds like a long way away. It was. I mean, it was, but only.
Yeah.
I'm using italics only, or whatever they're called, quotes. 108 miles from Kimball, so about an hour and a half driving back. But how many days a week would you do that drive? And where all would that take you besides Fort Collins?
Yeah, so I started playing the AAU when I was a freshman. My freshman year is when I did a tryout, just because it was the closest, like most well-known AAU in that area. There was like in Scottsbluff, there was the Nebraska Bison, I think is what it was called at the time. But my best friend, his mom found this team and found this tryout, and that's when I went. Kind of funny story. I went to this tryout. The whole tryout, I didn't miss a shot the entire tryout. And I remember the coach came up to me at the end and was like, because they go through a process and they have to evaluate the players. And then, they came up to me and they said, we want you they had like a gold, silver, and bronze team. They're like, we want you on the gold team right now. We need you to commit. And I said, sounds good. So I committed my freshman season, and then we would drive. Practice was twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday, but then I would also go down on Wednesdays just to do one-on-one workouts with my AAU coach because I just wanted to, and I loved it, and it kind of sparked another flame in me for the game of basketball during that time. So 3 times a week, it was a 3-hour round trip there and back, and it was. I look back on it, and to me, it was easy. It was easy because it was time with my mom, time with my best friend, and we enjoyed every trip down. And I got to meet so many incredible guys that I'm still in touch with today. And then yeah, especially at that time too, it took me all over Indianapolis, Las Vegas, Utah. We traveled all over for these tournaments, so I was able to get out and explore and see at the same time.
If you're not missing a shot at a tryout, then okay, how much practice shooting were you doing? I'm guessing with your mom out there on the farm. Like, give us an idea. It had to be a crazy volume. You're not just that naturally good at shooting.
Yeah. So we also had a house like in town, and that's kind of where I did all my stuff with my mom. But I mean, my mom would wake up and we would go to our high school gym at like 5:30, 6 a.m. I would say 4 times a week during a school week. We would go and like we would work out. Um, and she would just run me through shooting drills and we would just shoot. And some mornings we would both be exhausted and we would go in and just play shooting games against each other, and we would just laugh. And then some days were super intense. But yeah, I was grinding. She she saw, my potential before I could see it in myself. And I'm so grateful for that, because I needed that to kind of help push me along. We had those moments where she was like, "Do you want this? Like, do you really want to play basketball? Do you really want to be great? Like, you don't just get there and you want all the fame, but you have to actually put the work in behind it." So, I would say that at that time, when I was younger, it was just more fun going into the gym with my mom. And then it was like 14, 15 years old when I really was like, if I'm going to do this, like I want to commit now. But yeah, I was definitely putting in the time and work when I was younger.
Sounds like it. And yet, obviously, you landed on South Dakota State. And by the way, we've got about 20 more minutes here, and a lot of Jacks fans want to hear SDSU stories, and we'll tell them. But, they also lived them. So, this is some stuff hopefully people are enjoying that they may have not known about you. But, Creighton and Nebraska, how much did they ever look at you? To what extent were they interested?
Nothing. I never got a single letter from Creighton.
And how tall were you?
6'9",
6'8"?
Yeah, 6'8", coming out of high school. Yeah.
Obviously that sounds insane to all of us right now, because you're the ninth all-time leading scorer in NCAA history.
Of course.
But did that seem insane to you at the time? Were you kind of like, what the hell? Or were you? No, you weren't.
If you want me to be honest, I was kind of just this chubby farm kid. I could shoot the ball really well, but outside of that was kind of it.
Right.
And yeah, to me, it was, I always had a dream. I loved University of Wyoming. I went to University of Wyoming basketball games, football games when I was growing up, and I would have loved to have gone there. And we had small communications. I always went to their elite camps, and I always thought like, okay, I'm going to be able to go there. But that didn't work out. Didn't ever pan out at all either. And then kind of when the AAU thing started, I got some offers that slowly started to roll in, and South Dakota State being one of them. And I'll tell you this funny story. So I took my recruiting trip to South Dakota State, and I remember playing 5-on-5 with the guys in the wellness center, and I missed every shot I took, every single one. And it was just like one of those, all right, they're going to not give me a scholarship. They just watched me come in here, brick everything. And I remember leaving coach's office, and I was like, and I told them, because I committed on that trip. And I remember like, all right, well, they're taking their chance on me, and I'm gonna, prove them right to do so. But yeah, it was just a funny story that I literally went in and I missed everything. Well, absolutely everything.
Why were you so convinced you were going to commit on the trip? Should you be offered?
So South Dakota State was one of the only teams I remember seeing every single year in high school when I was during the NCAA tournament. And my dad always used to be like, "Hey, look at this team right here, like your grandpa." And my grandpa went to South Dakota State too, long time ago. So there's a small like family connection, and I have my whole dad's side of the family is actually originally from South Dakota, Murdo. Very small town.
Yep.
But so there's like a small connection to South Dakota State from that. But yeah, that was kind of just, I once I got there, I didn't necessarily know going on that trip, but once I got there, talked to the guys, talked to the coaches, I just knew that it was like the right place for me.
And why was that?
Coach Nagy was incredible. I really, really respected him and his outlook. And then, like I said, the guys, I just had a good feeling about the guys that were there. I enjoyed being around them. I enjoyed getting to know them, and I really enjoyed the campus. So those things just kind of all played into a factor of me committing to South Dakota State.
Yeah. By the way, I think most people know this, but Murdo, 3 hours west of Sioux Falls, on your way to the Black Hills, it's about that spot where you're like, my God, are we ever going to get to the Black Hills? We've been driving through 3 hours of nothing, and are we there yet? And Wall's coming up pretty soon, but yeah, and I mean, obviously, the rest is history, so they say. But you said you were just a chubby kid who could hit shots and not much else, and that's why maybe you weren't recruited to a higher level. How much did that redshirt season do for you? Because obviously your redshirt freshman season, your Summit League freshman of the year, you come right out of the womb and you're ripping it up. So I'm going to guess the quantum leap came in that redshirt year.
Absolutely. Eric Adolph, strength and conditioning. That is my guy, ride or die. I was the only freshman coming in that year who redshirted, so I was all alone. And that dude was up with me every morning early when we did our lifts, because red shirts, I did all my lifts separately from everyone else on top of the workouts that I was doing alone too, and then I would do all the team stuff, team workouts, things like that. But I remember Eric was like, he was the biggest motivating, helping hand throughout that entire thing. I mean, he was lifting with me, and he was like, dude, we're gonna get it, so you're gonna be an absolute force to be reckoned with next year. So I have to give like a huge shout out and credit to him, because he really was like, there was many mornings waking up and I'm like, man, like, what is going on? Like, I'm not playing any games. I'm just in a lull. I'm getting beat up every day by Cody Larson and Connor Devine and Logan Doyle. Like, I'm just getting absolutely, destroyed. And he was like, dude, just stick with it. Just stick with it. So that redshirt freshman year, I mean, I really did. I fully committed, got my body right, worked out super hard, and obviously, I mean, it paid off for me in the long run, because I was able to come in, my redshirt freshman year, and I was ready to go.
What did you like most? You said Scott Nagy was a big reason why you came there. What were his defining characteristics from your point of view as a head coach?
So he was very structure oriented. I loved also his faith too. That was a reason for me to like him as a coach. And I just liked his style of basketball. He had a certain way of doing things, and it worked, and it worked very well for me. Moving forward into my career, I only got to be with him for a couple seasons, but for me, he helped me grow as a basketball player to become, the next step, the next version in my career. He definitely helped get me there with, his play style and how he used me on the court.
He leaves for Wright State. They hire TJ Otzelberger from the outside. What was that all like for you to process? And did you ever consider transferring just because the guy you came in with was leaving, and here's a new guy we don't know? To walk us through that, plus your first impressions of TJ.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. There was a lot going on. I remember, because we just come off Summit League championship, and we play Maryland, and I'm like, this is awesome, and then coach takes off, and of course, I thought, all right, maybe I transfer, and it was definitely a thought, honestly, up until I'm trying to think of we had interviews with two other coaches. I don't remember who they were. And then we had an interview with TJ. And the moment TJ came in, he brought an energy, knowledge about us, and just an aura to him that I'm like, I'm not transferring. I'm staying here. And I just remember we were all in that room, and once TJ left, it was like me, TK, Reed, Ian, Lane, Severin, and we're like, this is our guy. Like this is our dude. I remember texting Justin Sell being like, TJ's our guy. We gotta go with him. And yeah, that was, I just remember TJ was like, the aura he had, the dude just had an energy to him that was you just wanted to be around, and I think it worked out for us.
It did work out okay. It worked out for him.
Absolutely.
Turns out he could coach. That was a good proving ground for him.
Yeah.
He 3 years, 5 or 6 combined regular season and Summit League tournament titles, and UNLV and Iowa State. Now he's got one of the best programs in the country. But in that first year, you guys started 0-5, 1-6 in the Summit League. And you roared down the stretch, won 7 of the last 9 to get into the tourney. It's either the 4 or 5 seed and a 15 and 16 overall record. So explain the gambit there, why it was such a struggle early on. TJ's probably getting just beat up by, not literally, but by fans. And I was in the media. We talked to him every week. We tried to be fair, but we put him on the spot because he's the new guy.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah,
how did it struggle and how did it turn around so fast?
Yeah, so it's so funny because if you ask me or Reed, for some reason, and we always talked about this, we were never worried that entire year. No matter what was going on, we were never worried that we weren't gonna like win the Summit League. It was just we just had a feeling. And I remember me and Reed and Sky and Ian, we always talked about how we just knew it was gonna work out. I think we struggled so much because we didn't really know what the heck we were doing. We were switching between zone offense, 1-3-1 defense, one zone defense. It was all over the place at the start. And obviously we had a kind of a new group of guys that we were all trying to mesh together, and we were all trying to figure out playing styles. Like how can we all play together? Because outside of Coach Nagy's very strict structure, this is what you do, this is here, that we're all like, TJ kind of came in and gave us all the freedoms. He's like, I want you guys to play your game. And I think that a lot of that was just us trying to figure out, okay, how can I play my best game but also benefiting my teammates. And I think it just took, I think the big turning point was when we played UNO at UNO, and that was kind of like we needed to win that game, and that set us just in motion. And I think it just clicked. We clicked as a team, and it was very, very like apparent once we started practice and everything. Like we understand each other now. We're ready to roll. And kind of from that point on, it just took off. But like I said, it was just one of those crazy years where we just laugh about it now, the stuff that was going on and how we were kind of just like, it's going to work out in the end. So,
well, you were right. And there was an amazing end in the Summit League tournament. But before we get to that, you hit second to last game of the regular season. You dropped 51 points in Fort Wayne. That was a road game, right? Yeah. 97-89. So they needed almost all 51. Too shy, not even a school record, because Nate Walters had 53 against.
That one kills me because I missed some free throws, man. Oh my gosh. It's so funny because I still
Did you know the school record was 53? Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I knew.
Okay.
And I missed some free throws during that game, and I just, that's the one thing. But I want to give Nate, he can hold that spot for a while longer.
So you knew, like going into, like at some point you knew Walters 53 was the school record. So did you, are you keeping track? Are people telling you as you're getting closer, or you just knew it in your head?
I knew the school record, but during that game, I had no concept of where I was at all. I do remember one time I looked over at the bench during a free throw. I hit a free throw, and Andre Wallace was standing over on the bench just holding up a 5-0 with his hands like this. And I remember looking at him, and I was like, he's holding 5-0 like I got 50 right now? I couldn't believe it. So that was kind of that was the only time I knew other than that, it was like I was just focused on trying to win the game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, what's it like? It's you had so many games, obviously, that 30 plus, so it wasn't unusual for you to score a bunch, but to climb that high, such rarefied air. How fun is it? How surreal is it?
I mean, the biggest thing that made it the best is that we won the game
Sure.
because, I feel like if you score that much and you lose the game, it just doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was just one of those games. And I've had a couple of these games where the ball, I just know whatever I shoot, it's going to go in. And it was just one of those games where, you're just in a rhythm, you're in a groove. And then obviously, I mean, I had the most unselfish best teammates in college with Mike Orris and all those boys. They helped me be able to do that. So
Yeah. We're going to have to kind of speed drill through like your last 2 years, and that's
all right.
but we can't do it until we get to the famous Michael Orris shot against USD in the Summit League semifinal, and he walked us through it back in March. It's what he's best known for, and he's fine with that. Like you, he has a beautiful wife. He's had a great life. He's okay with this being what he's best known for in college hoops. But you take me and set the stage of that whole play, what was planned, and what happened from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to give a little background. Michael Orris, he had some. Go ahead.
Well,
You got something?
No, go ahead. I'll let you.
I was just gonna say that dude, like, I was so happy, proud to be his teammate because it was like a redemption year for him. And he is just like, he's one of the kindest, best, funniest guys I have ever been around. It's funny because I was just talking to him not that long ago. It was like a week ago. And we were just talking about overseas, how life is. And I mean, he's an amazing dude. So for him to be able to hit that shot, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He's an incredible person. But okay, so what I'm thinking in the game, I think it's Tyler Peterson's at the line. He misses the free throw, and of course, selfishly, I'm thinking I'm going to take the last shot because I want to take the last shot. I mean, that's just as a competitor and as a guy who plays for the big moments. I want to be the one that my teammates can trust. But we all had so much trust in each other. So I just remember, I don't remember if I grabbed the rebound or what, outlet to Mike, and then I just sprint down the court, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting to my spot on the block. I'm posting up. And obviously, I believe that season, Mike, he wasn't shooting phenomenal by any means, but that game, man, he was on. And I remember the guy that was guarding him, I can't think of his name. He was just kept backing up, and Mike just kind of was getting into his groove, into his rhythm. And the moment that shot went up, one, I was like, he's making it. Two, if you go back and watch the replay, you see how hard me and Reed are going for the offensive rebound. There's not a doubt in my mind that if he missed that shot, one of us is tipping it in. But we were, when it's still like surreal to talk about, to think about, because when he hit that shot, I mean, I remember just running straight up to him, and I was like, "You're that guy! Like, let's go! Like, unbelievable!" It's just one of those moments that I feel like I'll never be able to truly relive it because it was just once in a lifetime moment.
Was that the best? Was that like was that amongst your favorite actual moments, games, wins at SDSU?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That I think that. Yeah, that was a win that was absolutely amazing, and I remember my first Summit League win with Coach Nagy when we came back, especially being down to Oral Roberts so bad in the first round was like one of my favorite tournament experiences.
Okay, I'll play one more hit, and you have a rematch with USD in the Summit League tournament championship game your junior year, and you're now you're back-to-back Summit League Player of the Year. Yep. And the guy standing in your way to be Summit League Player of the Year and also to win that whole thing was Matt Mooney from USD. You're shaking your head. When I talked to Matt last year, he just said, I brought up your name, and he just said, I hated that guy. Did you? And probably just because you were wearing the jersey of the other team. I don't know
Absolutely.
if there's something else about you. You seem like a pretty likable guy, but was it the same way for you?
It's just the competitive spirit.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm going to say that I highly disliked him playing against him.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. Everything else.
But
You
what
know,
was
we
that game like? I mean, I think that's still the biggest crowd to ever see a Summit League tournament game. And it
yes.
was 97-89, I think. It was just battle royale.
It was. And I mean that dude, Matt Mooney, I mean he's a hooper. He is a true hooper and he has some big time confidence and that dude made some big time shots. Yeah, I remember, we talked because me and Matt coming out of college, we both ended up having the same agency and we talked we were in Phoenix together during workouts and I mean we just talked about how we had the best battles throughout our both of our college careers. Like it was the funnest games we both played against each other. They were so competitive. But yeah, I mean, he was one of those guys. Yeah, you can't stop him. You try to contain him. And we were fortunate to be able to come out on top of a lot of those battles and in the Summit League. And it was, but that was some of the funnest games I ever played against was those rivalry games, especially in the Summit League tournament because the crowds were amazing in Sioux Falls.
I got just two more. If in the NIL era, you may have not, neither of you probably would have been in that game.
Oh my
because
gosh.
you were Summit League Freshman of the Year and you were already a 2-time Summit League Player of the Year. And so you just, truth serum being truth serum. I mean, you got to have all kinds of feelings about the money you could have made in college. I mean, Oscar Clough, he was a Summit Player of the Year, made $1 million or so or more at Purdue this past year. Freshman of the Year, you could have made an easy $500K somewhere else.
It's so funny because my wife and I now, and I mean, I talk to Sky Reed, I talk to all those boys. It's so difficult for me to talk about it because yes, okay, I probably would have ended up transferring. I probably would have done the exact same thing because how can you? You're 20 years old and you're going to get offered $1 million. There's no way you're turning that down. So yeah, it's funny because to me, college basketball will never be the same with NIL now. But I still, as hard as it is to be like, yeah, obviously the money's nice. I'm happy it wasn't a part of my college experience because it was more competitive for me. And I think as a squad, there's no NIL, the money's not involved. And we just wanted to stay together as a team. We didn't want to transfer. There's no draw to go anywhere else. But yeah, it's a huge thing in today's day and age. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. I absolutely probably would have transferred and followed the money if I was in college at the time. So
yeah. But you said what I thought you would say as well. Like you're glad it did. I don't think you're disappointed in having a prolific 4-year career at the same. You're like your last of Mohicans. You're one of those last guys that did that.
No, it's true, and
you're a relic that everybody looks back on and say those are the good old days. They're never coming back.
I love that. I love that because I don't regret staying because I remember having opportunities. I think junior year 2 to possibly transfer, and I don't ever regret staying at South Dakota State. I'm 100% diehard, bleed blue and gold, and that's my squad, and yeah, I'm so happy to have stayed at South Dakota State.
All right. I got 2 more quickies out the door. What were you told? Why did you not get a better look at the NBA?
So it was tough for me right out of college. I had a stress fracture in my foot, and that was my own fault because right as season got over, I had a little bit of discomfort in my foot, and I should have rested. But in my mind, I said, I'm going to work out so hard and I'm going to be so ready because those NBA workouts during the pre-draft process, that was my real time to go against those high major dudes and show them that I'm capable of playing at the same level as those guys are. And I ended up giving myself a stress fracture in my foot and I missed every single pre-draft workout I had set up. So I didn't get to do the process. I didn't get to play in front of any NBA teams. I didn't get to do any of that. So then when the Trailblazers came in to pick me up for Summer League, I was just coming off recovery. I was in just that stage where I'm still kind of testing my foot again, my body again. And I wasn't able to, I feel like really show my capabilities or show what I was able to do, because I was hesitant a little bit just with how my foot felt. So that was a difficult time. And then also I did actually have another really good opportunity 2-3 years ago with the Sacramento Kings Summer League. And that I was actually very, very close to signing a 2-way contract to go to Sacramento, but there was a lot of factors. Money was one. I already had a contract overseas, so it was hard to get out of that. And then two, they were already bringing in this high-level EuroLeague guy from this Greek club, Sasha Vezenkov, who's big time now in the EuroLeague. They just won the EuroLeague, so it was just kind of one of those moments where I could have done it at that time, but I was already so established overseas that it just made the most sense to go back overseas.
Okay. Well, and you go overseas, and that we've circled all the way back. All a consolation prize. You get to travel the globe, live in some of the most beautiful places you can imagine.
Absolutely.
Play basketball, get paid well, beautiful lady. And I'm just so happy life is good for you. Sometimes it's the first question I ask a first-time guest on this show.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the last. The show's called Happy Hour. It's called Happy Hour for a reason. If this is you and me at a bar, and we're doing this just sitting around shooting the breeze,
Yep.
You get choice of one drink. This is a man who's been around the world. You've had all kinds of incredible wines, beers, bourbons, I'm sure. What would be your one choice?
Old fashioned.
Oh, Cordell, you know this well. This is you and me. That was me. That is my answer as well. If it's a beer, what beer is it?
Oh, that's tough. Man, okay. It's difficult because now the beer is actually the one thing that I've had all over the world.
Yes. Sorry.
This is difficult.
The Shoots in Portland is right up there for me. I don't know if it's number one.
Yeah.
But a fresh
okay. Oh man, Blue Moon.
Okay. Feels like you kind of tapped out on that one. I think.
I feel like there's a Voodoo Ranger's also good.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well, this was fun. I hope someday we get to see each other in person, have an old fashioned.
Yes.
It sounds like the baby didn't wake up, so we made it through that.
Yep.
And best of luck. Let's stay in touch. This was awesome.
Man,
and I
appreciate it.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll be in touch for sure.
Stay there so we make sure this everybody gets to hear this. For Mike Daum, the GOAT, and for video producer Cordell Wright, I'm John. Happy hour and cheers.
You need anything else, John?
No, I think I'm good, Greg. I think I'm going to tap out.
All right. Have a good night.